Advanced jerking, video 1, jerking 101. Pin drop. Advanced pin drop. Heel clicker to a pin drop. Up. Now we're going to do a heel clicker to Michael Jackson pin drop. Up. Michael Jackson pin drop with longer tail. After we do that, the dip, 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 1, 2, dip, 1, 2, dip. Now, regular reject. Reject. Now, have your own swag in your reject. So, this is my reject. Now, Michael Jackson reject, drag your toe. Now the Michael Jackson reject, my reject, put together, goes a little something like this. Add your hand movement. The pin drop. And finally, Michael Jackson. All simple stuff. Get your leg muscles ready. Do what I'm doing. All together, looks like this. Okay.